So today we're going to talk about seed collection, and I'm going to show you a few examples in the meadow behind me. So the first question to answer is, what seed will you be collecting? Now, ideally you have plants in your yard that will produce seeds that you can collect, but I know that's not always the case. So if you're going to go out in the wild and collect some seed, there are a few rules to follow. You want to make sure you stick with very common species, with rudbeckia, coneflower, milkweed, the things where you can be sure that you're not accidentally wiping out a wild population of something really rare. Another thing is to stick with maybe 10-15% of the seeds that are available, just to, again, make sure that you're not wiping out that colony and that there's enough seeds to sort of sustain that grouping of plants beyond your collection. And the last thing is about just getting permission from the landowner. So never collect on public land. Please don't go to a park or a nature preserve and collect seeds. It should really be on private property. So the next question to answer is, when do you collect the seed? Now, if you're collecting in your own property, it's easy because you can go out every day or two and check. You don't want to collect too early, because if the seed heads are still green and juicy, they're just going to shrivel up and not reach maturity. And if you wait too long, you will find a bunch of empty seed heads. I mean, they're designed to disperse seeds, and you'll have a lot of competition from the local birds. So the question of when, it's different for each species. It flowers, it forms a seed head, and then it can be anywhere from days to weeks before that seed head, which is, initially kind of firm and green, starts to turn brown. And you don't want to wait until it's completely brown, because at that point, you will likely lose a lot of the seed. What I typically do is just cut the seed heads and put them upside down in a brown paper bag, and then just set it aside in a warm, dry place for a couple days, a week or two, however long it takes until you can come back to check on them and to remove the seeds from the seed head. And the easiest way I've found is just, once they've had some time to dry, is to just fold over the top of the bag and give it a good shake. When you're collecting the seed heads, if there's one that looks like it's been munched on by insects, or seed heads that have fallen to the ground and maybe starting to get a little moldy, I would not recommend collecting those, because it could easily ruin the whole batch. So I wanted to just give a couple examples of when the seed heads are ready. So this is just a common bee balm, that pale pink. And these are starting to turn brown. So this is actually a perfect time to just snip these off and put them in a brown paper bag and set them aside. Right here we have some penstemon. Now these are not ready. These, you would have to open up each individual seed head. If you wait, they start to turn brown and dry, and then the tip of each one opens up, and at that point you can turn them upside down and you start to get your seeds. This is milkweed. Now, this is too late. If you collect this one, you're gonna have this fluff all over the place. So what you wanna do is basically look at these seed heads start out pretty green, they start to turn brown and dry, and then what happens with milkweed is they split, like right along here, they just open up, and you can see that the seeds inside are dark brown, and that's the perfect time to grab them. So here's another example. This is a lance leaf coreopsis. This is a shrimpy one, they're usually a little bigger. But when the seed heads first form, you get these nice juicy green seed heads. And if you open this up right now, the seeds would be pale green and pretty wet. If you wait too long, you end up with just an empty seed head. And that's, ooh, somebody came out. And that's no fun. So you really want to wait until these seed heads start to turn brown. You can see they start to dry, and then you just throw them in a bag, and they're very easy to collect. Here's one more example. This is a rudbeckia. Now this one, you can tell it's ready. I mean, the whole plant is all dried up, and these seeds literally just fall right off. You just scratch the surface and you're good to go. So what I would recommend is to just, on the brown paper bag, just make sure you write the name of the plant, because even though you think you're going to recognize it, once it's all dried up, you might not. Write the date that you started collecting, And then this is just, I've only just started collecting the hyssop. But you'll see there are these little seed heads, and if you give them enough time and you let them dry out, the seeds just fall right out. So it's very little work. Once you're sure that they're dry, you don't want to put them away when they're still wet because they'll mold. But once you're sure they're dry, I have these little containers that come with one of those meal kits that I just repurpose. So I just put a sticker on it. I put on the name of the seed and the date. You want low temperature and low humidity. So if you have room in your fridge, great. If you don't, any sort of cool, dark, dry place. So a basement, a closet, anywhere where you know that they're going to be cool and dry will work. So that concludes our little seed collection presentation today. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. If you decide that you're really into seed collection and you want to start collecting and sharing with friends and neighbors, we do have a Facebook group. It's the Westchester Native Plant and Seed Swap, but we're going to do a swap by mail this fall as a sign of the times, and you are very welcome to join.